and we'll call it to order. And let me read the introduction. We in this country are presently experiencing and having to deal with the coronavirus pandemic. And we are presently operating under a state of emergency declared by the governor of Tennessee, and it is order number 71. And that allows us to meet in this fashion, not in person, but separately, but as a body through Zoom. Any commissioner wishing recognition needs to raise their hand, and I'll recognize you. Otherwise, you can unmute and just listen if you want to. A reminder, if you have background noise or just, it works better to mute your microphone. Those things are amazingly sensitive, and that shows up and it kind of disturbs the discussion. So if you would check that and then unmute if you'd like to say something. Is there any objection to proceeding? Hearing none, we will then proceed. Hey, Natasha, let's call the roll, please, ma'am.
Chair G, I'm going to have Miss Bonnie Capely call the roll.
Okay.
Fine, sir.
Is she back from running somewhere? There she is.
Yes.
Hey, Bonnie. You want to introduce yourself since?
Good morning. Okay. I'm
Bonnie.
Bonnie. I've been a clerk years, so I'm going to be helping Natasha.
Okay, good. Well, welcome aboard. So you want to call the roll?
All right. I'm going to call the roll. Yes, sir. Jay Bell.
Present.
Bobby Bishop.
Present. I'm sorry, I was on mute.
Alice Cannella.
Here.
Darian Collins.
Here.
Kenny Custer.
Here.
Doug Fisher.
Here.
Walker Jones.
Here.
Bill McGriff.
Here.
Gene Shipley. Boyd Veal.
Here.
Dick G.
Here. I'm going to recognize Bobby Bishop. It's a name and a person I'm not familiar with, and I'm just interested in knowing why you're here.
I am with the new lake, one of the new Lakeside commissioners taking Curtis Jones's place.
Oh,
So
you have big shoes to fill.
That's what I hear.
Yeah.
Looking forward to it.
Welcome aboard. We look forward
Thank
to your
you.
participation. Anyone else that's new? Nope, I guess not. Who is John's iPhone? Would John's iPhone please speak up?
Dick, that's actually John Shackett. That's with LJA. I invited him to come on today in case you guys have any questions for me.
Very good.
I apologize. I was on mute. Sorry about that.
That's fine. Welcome, John.
Thank you.
All right, let's get started. There is an item for the Variance Committee, and that is ASA or ASA Engineering seeks to relocate an existing sewer easement. I had a little trouble understanding that from the diagram, so who's going to describe that? Mike, are you going to lead this, or is someone else?
Actually, Alan Jones is here to describe what they're wanting to do.
Okay, Alan, you want to go ahead?
Sure, I can go ahead. So I got a developer that's looking to purchase the lots, 17, 18, 19, and 20 in the yellow, and also the one above it, actually 21 and 22. I found that out yesterday. And then they're going to be purchasing anywhere between 40 to 60 feet of that lot 2, that 3-acre tract, for a new gas station and car wash. And so our ask is that we could relocate the sewer easement along the eastern boundary right there and just shift it to the left wherever we end up dividing the property up. That way we still have the north-south sewer access available in the easement, And then for our sewer connectivity, we'll be extending the sewer coming off the apartment complex shown in red shown in red for our sewer tie-in.
Mike, are you going to respond to that, or is Larry, or what do you think?
We are fine with this proposed abandonment. And the reason it's coming before y'all is because apparently abandoning easements is actually a board function. So, but we don't have an issue with it.
So we've gone from relocate to abandon.
Well, that's ultimately what has to happen. We have to abandon an existing easement. And then we'll have a new easement where the relocation is.
Oh, okay. Is that two steps, or is that all in one step?
Well, the new easement, we have new easements coming in on plats all the time. That's not really the main thing that the board is doing, should they choose to do so, is abandoning the existing easement.
Okay.
Mr. Chairman, I have a question.
Yes, ma'am. Who is that? Alice? Yes.
Yeah, Mike, there's not currently a sewer in this easement. Is that correct?
Right.
And for this development, we would be extending the easement shown in red, extending that public sewer easement. And then, as Mike said, we'll just be relocating the north-south easement.
So this doesn't limit anything as far as future service.
No.
I mean, you never know how someone's going to develop other property, but
I know.
I think it's an issue at this point.
Okay. Does a board member have a comment or a question?
Just one more question. I'm assuming that Mike, you and your staff are okay with this?
Yes.
Yeah.
I would make a motion to approve this.
Thank you, Jay. Do I hear a second?
Second by Kenny.
Hey, Kenny. Is there any further discussion?
I do have one question.
Who is that?
That's Alan. The question is, the final location of the green, I don't know if this needs to be part of the motion, will just be determined on the final property purchase, whether we're buying 40 feet or 80 feet. That's still up in the air.
Does that affect the motion, Mike?
I don't think so.
Okay. Any other questions? We have a motion and a second. No further discussion. Let's call the roll, please.
Joe Bell,
Yes.
Bobby Bishop,
Yes.
Alice Cannella,
Yes.
Darian Collins,
Yes.
Kenny Custer,
Yes.
Doug Fisher,
Yes.
Walker Jones,
Yes.
Bill McGriff,
Yes.
Boyd Veal,
Yes.
Dick G.
Yes. Very good. Alan, I want you to know that you hold the record for the fastest variance request approval ever.
Keep it simple, right? Well, thank you, board.
You're quite welcome. Good luck.
Thank you.
Actually, I guess that approval is going back to our committee and board organization. This is going to be forwarded to the board for final approval. Just a reminder that we still use that process, I suppose. But the final approval will come from the board vote, which would be next Wednesday, if I'm not mistaken. All right, moving on. Mike, I guess I'm going to turn this over to you at this point in time.
Oh, I guess y'all have noticed we have a relatively light agenda. And the first thing up for finance would be a vehicle purchase discussion. We would like to purchase basically 5 new vehicles. 4 are pickup trucks. 1 is a another crane truck. You may recall back several months back, you authorized us to purchase a new maintenance truck. Our existing maintenance truck, we would like to replace it as well. It is becoming increasingly unreliable. And basically it's currently driven by Jimmy Reese, who is he's a pump station maintenance person. The new truck that we've ordered will be driven by Stephen Wright, who is also a pump station maintenance person. But at this point, Jimmy's truck is got about 190,000 miles on it. It's in and out of the shop late. 2013 model, and we would like to replace it. And the reason I'm coming to you now is because it's taking anywhere from 4 to 6 months to get a vehicle once we order one. So even if you approved it next week, it's probably sometime in the summer before we actually would take delivery and pay for the vehicle. Likewise, we're having similar issues with pickup trucks. I don't know. Everybody says it blames everything on COVID these days, and I guess that may be getting old, but that may be what the situation is. I'm not real sure. But we're having, I think the last vehicles we ordered that we just recently received, I think we ordered about a year ago. So I'm trying to get ahead of things and get some of these vehicles ordered. We also have several new employees potentially coming in, and they need something to drive. And the things we have now have anywhere from 120,000 to 200,000 miles on them, and they're becoming unreliable as well. So I'm curious what questions the board might have, but
well, let me start. About how many years are reflected in roughly 50,000 miles on an odometer?
Well, we put a lot of miles on vehicles. The field staff do. So we're easily putting 20,000 miles a year a vehicle, and sometimes more than that. And Larry, if you're around, you might be able to add a little bit more to that. But anywhere from 20 to 25,000 miles a year is what typically our field staff are putting on the vehicles.
I'm actually surprised it's not more than that. And so are all of these purchases replacement vehicles, or are there actually new vehicles?
A couple are replacements. Well, actually, of the 5, 3 are replacements and 2 are new.
And how many pickup trucks do we have? Do you have a fix on that one?
Well, between we also have SUVs in the fleet, so we have about 17 vehicles.
Wow. So we turn over the inventory of pickup / SUV vehicles every 6 years, 5 years.
Well, I don't know the answer to that.
I know. I guess I'm just kind of.
We've kept one in particular a whole lot longer than we should have, because when I came here, 3 years ago, I drove it to begin with, and it wasn't particularly roadworthy then, and we've just now taken it out of service. So it varies, but the field staff, they put a lot of miles on vehicles.
Okay. And it goes without saying they're necessary. I mean, that's.
Well, it's primarily courtesy of the way our system is spread out. You know, if we were.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
really what it's all about.
And a typical pickup truck that we buy is what, $25,000?
About 25,000, yes.
So what is 17 times 25,000? Make the math easy. I guess 20 is $500,000, isn't it?
Yes.
So somewhere south of us, $500,000 every 6 years. Where does that show up on the budget?
Well, typically what we do is we'll have just a capital budget item. And we've just purchased vehicles out of that capital budget item is my understanding of how it's been done in the past.
And we don't put money aside in advance to create a fund to buy vehicles like Signal Mountain.
To the best of my knowledge, we've not done that before. Now, one thing this purchase will do for us, should we make it, our fleet will be relatively new and in good shape for several years, I would say.
Mm-hmm.
Should we do this?
I'd like to speak.
Who is that?
Jay,
Yeah, Jay.
I think it's very important for the WWTA to keep new vehicles that look good, that represent the organization well on the road. And I see the vehicle coming up here in the north end of the county to check on the pump station where I live quite regularly. And it's a new vehicle. It's well marked. It's clean. And I think it makes a great impression on the public. I think the employees need to have new vehicles so that, one, they're safe. They're driving around all the time. They've got to be driving from one end of the county to the other. So I would wholeheartedly support keeping the vehicle fleet new and in good shape. I mean, we certainly wouldn't want a pump station to overflow because we had a radiator hose blowout on an old vehicle. So I think this is a wise and a purchase that just one of those things you got to do.
Good points, Jay. Thank you. Anyone else?
Bill, I'd like to ask a question.
Go ahead.
Mike, but we did budget for these, right?
Well, we have not budgeted for these. This will be really more of a capital purchase for next year, because that's actually when we would ultimately pay for these, most likely.
We buy through the state contract or something like that. Is that correct?
That's what we have done, and that's what's taking so long. I mean, there may be a quicker alternative, but it's probably not a less expensive alternative. So,
well, believe it or not, sometimes it is, but that's hard. Sometimes we have bid vehicles and beat the state contract, but I haven't been there in a while, so I don't know. I don't know what they're doing now, but anyway, the state contract pricing doesn't come out until the fall sometime. If it's still the same as it used to be. Is that correct?
Honestly, I don't know the answer to that question.
Okay.
The state contracts coming. I can find out.
I just don't know why it would take so long if the state contract is awarded and the pricing comes out. But it's
well,
that could be.
Well, I can tell you this right now, Bill. If you order an Explorer today, you're about 12 months out.
Really?
Yes, sir.
That's why we're having this discussion.
Well, it certainly didn't used to be that way. Okay.
No, it didn't. But over the last couple of years, I ordered one 3 years ago, and it took 6 months. And the ones that we ordered for this last budget, this last fiscal year, we got one of the three, I believe, that were ordered in July.
Dick?
Yes, ma'am. Neil.
The county has gone to leasing a lot of vehicles, and I wondered whether or not Mike had explored that. We have a fleet basically that we're basically leasing to get the county out of the ownership of vehicles business, and that might work on some of your SUVs and things like that, since it works for the highway department and public works and things like that. You might want to explore that idea with purchasing.
Okay.
I think that the fact that we put so many miles on them make the leasing unattractive for us, but I'll check into that.
Hey, Mike, just to give you an idea, the Ford leasing program generally, and we've done it with Ford and Chevrolet in the past, we did it with police vehicles for a number of years, but basically you pay a certain amount. Let's just say you were doing 14 cars, it may be $150,000. But at the end of the 3-year term, it didn't matter what the mileage was on the cars. You own those cars for $1 a vehicle.
Okay.
And then it was your choice whether you rolled them down or got rid of them or whatever the case may be. But and Ford does, I know everybody does it, but I'm more familiar with the Ford program, and they do it for all types of vehicles, just like Neil was saying, through public works and everything, anything that they would need. So it is an option, but the only difference is the way you pay for it, whether you pay for the upfront cost or you just budget that same amount of money that you know you're going to need every 3 years.
Does that become an operating expense or a capital expense?
It's we'd use it, we run it through our capital outlay.
It'd be a capital lease is what it would be.
Okay. So it really
Sorry,
wouldn't
Bill, I wasn't
affect.
trying to steal your thunder on your finance.
Bill's looking for his thunder.
Thank you, Kenny. I appreciate that.
Hey, Bill,
Yes, sir.
question. And I'm going from the experience I had at Signal Mountain, and Boyd's on the meeting, so we can ask him. But they put money aside every year in advance, anticipating vehicle purchases, and they have it programmed so that when it comes time to replace or buy a new vehicle, the money is there. Can we do that? Is there any advantage for us to be doing that?
I think we could, Boyd might be better to answer this, but I think we could do that. Other than if you budget for it, you've kind of set the money aside anyway. And so I don't know. I understand saving the money to make the purchases, but if you put it in a capital budget, that means you set aside that amount of your revenues to purchase those vehicles. It's kind of like a lot of people do capital budgets for 3 and 5 years and set the money aside, but
It does create a fund that you have to another fund that you have to deal with.
well,
You're not really all excited about that, I can tell.
I'm not really all excited about it, but I'm not opposed to it either. It's just, it's not, I'd have to think about it a while. It doesn't seem to be necessary, but it certainly could work,
Okay. All right.
Dick, if I may.
Yeah, Boyd, is that you?
Yeah.
Hey, good.
The one thing it does for us is it just levels our replacement cost budget so that, if we buy a car that we expect to last for 8 years and figure out what the replacement cost is going to be, and then each year for those 8 years, we put 1/8 of that replacement cost into that fund. And so you do that throughout the fleet, and it just levels your contributions, and you don't have, in years where we're having to replace 5 or 6 police vehicles, our budget doesn't spike just because of those purchases. That's been each year we put an 1/8 of that money aside, and when it's time to replace them, the money's there, and it comes out of that fund. So, Bill's obviously right, but in terms of the money's the money, this just helps us level those costs, and so we don't get hit in years where we have multiple vehicles to replace. It really doesn't have an impact on the overall budget.
Okay.
Yeah, boy, that's one argument for a leasing program too.
Well,
you
that's
know.
true. It does that.
You kind of level it out that way also, but basically, at least if you turn the vehicles over every 3 years or whatever, in my opinion, you're probably spending a lot more money than you need to. That's just off the cuff, because most of the vehicles will last, especially this day and time, will last 5, 6, or 7 years without any huge maintenance issues, except for the infrequent lemon you get, you know. So anyway, that's
Okay. I didn't no need to make it a full discussion. I just throw it out there as an idea. Moving on, we need some approval, I guess, on this, don't we, Mike?
Well, no, I guess not really. I guess I just wanted to bring this for discussion, because we really need to have firm quotes that we don't have for the vehicles to make a motion with. So I guess I was trying to get the board's feeling on this.
Well, I kind of like Jay's idea. I mean, I think we need to be looking good in the field. We need to be reliable and
Safe.
and professional looking. So I see no objection. Anyone else? Okay, I think that's a silence is an approval.
Well, I'll come forward in the coming meetings with actual hard numbers.
Okay, fair enough. Grinder pump purchase.
So these are just replenishing our inventory of grinder pump packages and replacement pumps. We do this, I seem to recall in my tenure, we've done this one other time. Just to add back our inventory. We buy these from Water and Waste. They are the local or regional vendor for the hydromatic pumps that we use. And it's really just an inventory thing to make sure we have enough parts to service the ones we have, plus the ones that ultimately get purchased from us.
Motion to approve.
second.
Thank you, guys. Are these pumps like the pumps we've purchased in the past, to the point where repair parts and all that are the same?
Yes.
Okay. All right. Anybody else got a question or a comment? Hearing none, I'll call for the vote. Let's call the roll, please.
Jay Bell,
Yes.
Bobby Bishop,
Yes.
Alice Cannella,
Yes.
Darian Collins,
Yes.
Kenny Custer,
Yes.
Doug Fisher,
Yes.
Walker Jones,
Yes.
Bill McGriff,
Yes.
Boyd Veal,
Yes.
Dick G.
Yes. All right. Taylor, you going to do the adjustment report?
I don't think he's on.
Oh, okay. You're going to do that?
Yeah, I don't know if, we had a typical month of adjustments. I don't know. Looks like we had a pretty high one, an outside water line leak at East Side there at $2,400.
Yeah.
If anybody has any particular questions about any one, I can certainly find out more details. I think I say this about every time, but it's just, I think it's illustrative of the fact that we do work with customers and we make adjustments.
Yeah. Yeah. I have nothing. Does anyone, a board member, have a question or a comment there? Okay. Let's move to the late fee report. Bobby, we'll get you up to speed on what all these things mean.
All right, thank you.
Again, relatively.
Yeah. $3.56.
I have a question.
Yes, ma'am.
Mike, I noticed that all of these are with Tennessee American. Is that just because it happened to be that this month, or do the other utilities do their own adjustment? I don't understand why these are all Tennessee American.
Well, I'm not entirely sure I know the answer to that question. Natasha?
Miss Alice, for the late fee report, the late adjustment report, those are all Tennessee American water customers, because the other utilities, they make the adjustments for us, or they just make them on their behalf. And as far as with the adjustment report, it is included the other utilities because we have to send them the adjustments so they can adjust on their end. So it's a mixture on the adjustment report, but the late fee report we handle solely on our end.
Thank you, Natasha. I thought that might be the case, that the other utilities do their own late adjustments.
Any questions or comments from the board? All right. Let's move on to the engineering committee. And if you have been a member of the WWTA board, you might be asking yourself, who the heck is LJA Engineering? And you're about to find out. Mr. McDonald has been on a journey these past few months. Who's going to bring the board up to date on what's going on? Mike, is that you, or Scott? Are you going to?
I think I'm going to let Mr. McDonald do that.
Okay, Scott, why don't you tell us what's going on?
Actually, myself and a few other folks that actually resigned from SNME on January 29th, and actually took new positions with a firm called LJA Engineering. They're based out of Houston, Texas. LJA is an employee-owned firm. It's about 1,200 folks. They have revenues of about $300 million per year. Their work is predominantly 50% private, 50% public. They are a true design firm. If you go and look up their past rankings in the Engineering News Record, they rose from 121 in 2017 to this past year. They're ranked 65, nationally, and in the Engineering News Record of top design firms in the U.S. So they're a great firm. I've been talking to them for a little bit. A lot of the philosophies about leadership and how you handle projects and clients and how you do employees fit very well with my philosophy personally. So anyways, we've elected to go work with those folks, and actually LJA has purchased the assets, including all the contracts and current projects, active projects for SNME. And also what you'll see in front of you is actually the current active projects that SNME had previously been working on for WWTA. LJA has actually purchased those contracts, and those contracts have been assigned from SNME to LJA now. So the two things I have before you is one, we went ahead and completed an SF 330 Part 2 to give you a little bit of the financial background of the firm, but that also included the bill of sale of those contracts and the assets from SNME to LJA. And I guess with that, if there's any questions I can answer or John can answer to kind of help, give you guys a little bit of background or tell you a little bit more about LJA. I know the SF 330 shows 6 individuals, but we actually have a staff of 20 now. I've got an org chart I can throw up for you guys, but we actually have our entire engineering group led by David Kiefer is now on board as of this past Monday. And it includes Ross Baker, Gary Hoyser, Chase Givens, Courtney Branson, and Wes Toner. So we have 6 engineering staff, all previously worked for SNME, now work for LJA. We also have our GIS CAD group that's led by Mark Crow. That includes Jeff McCann, Ben Lundberg, and Thomas Catlett. And then we have our construction administration, RPR, or resident project representative group that's led by Pat Harville. And he's being joined by John Gillum, Justin Manning, Charles Owsley, Chris Carden, and Dirk Smith. And in addition to myself, Travis Wilson, Mike Tolbert, and Vicky Wilhot kind of round out the group that's currently in LJ offices in Chattanooga and other offices in Tennessee right now. So as of today, we have a staff of 20. It's pretty much the same familiar faces that you guys have probably seen or worked with in the past on previous jobs. And we're covering down on all the projects as of this past Monday.
Okay, thank you. Let me break in here and just ask if anybody from the board has a question or comment. Wow. No question.
If I can just ask Scott to give me a call after we get through with the meeting.
Sure, Neil.
Loose ends I need to clean up.
Not a problem, Neil. I'll be happy to.
Okay. Is it, John, this is a time where we might ask you to make a comment if you'd like.
I appreciate that. I've been in the business for quite some time, and I'm not sure I've met anybody more passionate than Scott in water and wastewater. And we're excited about working with a group. And but no, sir, I don't have any comments other than the fact that we're based on working with good people, and we look forward to supporting the board.
Well, thank you very much. Welcome aboard. Nice to have you here. And we do not only appreciate working with Scott, we enjoy it immensely, and we rely on him greatly. So we're happy to have him continue on. Assuming it's all legal, Neil.
Mm-hmm.
Everything okay? All right, very
It'll be
good.
okay.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you, John.
So we do need a motion to add LJA to the pre-approved, to the pre-qualified list.
So moved. This is Alice.
Thank you, Alice. A second?
Second by Kenny.
Hey, Kenny. Are there any questions or comments? This is your time to beat up on Scott if you want.
I'd like to comment.
Okay, Jay.
I think this is a good thing. It provides us with continuity of engineering, which is very important. And so I'd support this wholeheartedly.
Outstanding.
Thank you, Jay.
All right, hearing no further comments, we have a motion and we have a second. Let's call the roll.
Jay Bell,
Yes.
Bobby Bishop,
Yes.
Alice Cannella,
Yes.
Darian Collins,
Yes.
Kenny Custer,
Yes.
Doug Fisher,
Yes.
Walker Jones,
Yes.
Bill McGriff,
Yes.
Boyd Veal,
Yes.
Dick G.
Yes. Okay. Scott, we are thankful to have you on board. Thank you very much.
Well, thank you again for the opportunity. You know, we try to earn it every day, and it's certainly a team effort. And I know our team has enjoyed working with you guys and want to continue to do our dangness to make sure your problems are getting solved in the manner in which you need them solved.
Well, good luck for you and your group. Very
Thank
much.
you.
Yeah, and
Thank you.
congrats on your new endeavor, Scott.
Yeah.
Thank you. I appreciate that, Kenny. Thank y'all.
All right. The next thing is it says discuss board membership. We have one of the questions was the Lakeside representative, and I'm glad to say Bobby Bishop is here. Bobby, I know this is all Greek to you, or probably at this point in time, but we'll spend some time and get you familiar with what the language of WWTA is.
All right.
But we're happy to have you on board. Look
Thank you
forward
very
to
much.
working with you. Darren, I know we've had problems with scheduling with you. Is that going to get any better?
Well, if the pandemic gets better, absolutely.
Okay.
So, yeah, I'll coordinate with Natasha. I should be able to free up. I know the last 6 months has been extremely hectic for the other job that I support day in and day
Okay.
out.
Fair enough. We'd love to have you continue on for sure. And I guess the only other vacancy then would be, it's actually not a vacancy. It's just, what do we do with Sadi, or do we do anything?
Well, we also have a vacancy for Red Bank, right?
Oh, we still have a vacancy for Red Bank. Okay.
The potential individual, I think, is still evaluating whether or not he wants to actually take the position of representative for Red Bank. So.
Okay.
And Mike, I don't know if you've spoken with Gino, but I've spoken with Steve, their chief building official. We speak quite a bit about different things, and I know he'd be interested in taking Gino's spot if the Saudi commission agreed to that. So I don't know if Gino's going to want to continue to do it or not. I mean, I haven't seen him in a while.
Actually, I talk to him fairly regularly. So I'm not sure at this point.
Okay.
Now, Dick, is that a conversation that you would have with someone, and would that be the mayor or town manager, and then they would find someone? How does that process look without, bulldozing your way and trying to change things with a certain municipality or town?
I don't really know. We've never had a situation that exists in Red Bank or in Saudi Daisy. And not to be critical of people, I want to make sure we're not doing that, because Gene Shipley is an asset to us, whether he's present or absent. And we not only enjoy his counsel, but it's very important to us in that area to have contact through Gino. But we've just never had a situation where we've had to question membership.
Again, I guess
so I don't know, Walker. Right?
Looking at protocol, I didn't know if that's your job to contact the town manager or the mayor, just say, look, we've got a void here. We need to have filled. Y'all's community is very important to the WWTA. You need representation. So I just didn't know what that protocol looked like. I'm just curious.
I don't mind doing that. And frankly, I truly believe Red Bank needs representation, because there's going to be a lot of work going on in the Red Bank area. So we can be proactive. I can call the mayor and see what they'd like to do. What do you think, Mike?
I think that'd be a good idea, actually, just to see where we're going in the future.
Okay. All right. I'll be glad to do that. Is that basically what you had in mind on that item, or do you have something else?
No, that was it. I guess the last thing is, of course, the ever-present training.
Is everybody up to date?
I got to run.
Yeah, Doug.
On the discussion, it says raining. So
yeah,
it's raining outside.
Yeah, little typo there.
Make a motion to approve.
Seriously, if you and Bobby, this is for you too, because you've got a lot of early training that you have to accomplish. But you got to keep those credentials current, or they'll kick you off this board. The state will.
Okay. Yeah, I have to get started on the training.
Well, if you have any questions, ask Natasha. I
Sure
think
will.
I think she's the right contact. Isn't that right, Natasha?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Okay, I guess we have just one other comment. There is a meeting this afternoon with EPA as we approach what I think is the completion of negotiations for the consent decree. We will know at the end of the day whether we're at the point where we can come to you as a board. I think we shall see, but that meeting will go on at, I think it starts at 1 and ends probably around 3 o'clock. So,
Question, Dick.
yeah, Doug,
So will we, as a board, review this, before it's signed? Is it?
absolutely.
Is the board going to have to approve it? How does that work?
Yeah, once we reach the point where what I call the negotiated end is agreed upon, then Rich and we'll come to Rich and Scott will come and make a presentation to the board that reviews the entire document, you know, in sufficient detail, not to get down way down in it, but to give you sufficient detail that you will understand what we're signing, and an opportunity to ask questions, an opportunity to object or to approve, and then that'll give us an idea of whether you're willing to sign it or not. Mike, where are you? Are you still there? Yeah, you're still there. You want to give the board a sense of where we are as far as approval, your sense of whether or not we're ready to go?
Well, our discussion item today primarily is going to revolve around the disposition of the Signal Mountain Treatment Plant. And there's a pretty major, potentially, I guess, philosophical and technical discussion about how we move forward there with them. And also a pretty serious financial component if we were to ultimately abandon the plant and go to Chattanooga. So there's a lot riding on that, on our discussion today. But other than that, the other issues, you know, rehabilitation of the other parts of the system, other early action projects, most of those things are settled. A lot of, I mean, consent decrees in general, they all look the same. You don't get to deviate from the normal EPA process when you enter into a consent decree. So that's all the other items are relatively standard, I guess, for lack of a better term. I mean, if I gave you a percentage, we're at least 95% complete in terms of the negotiation. I mean, I would like for it to be different in some aspects, but you know, we've negotiated a long time and we've about negotiated all we can.
Doug, you had questions before? Did I answer that?
Yeah, I'm just assuming that somewhere very shortly, we're going to have some type of informational session that's going to last a little while.
Yeah, I would love to that. I would love to that session to be in person also. I think that we would benefit greatly from the interaction of an in-person, you know, face-to-face.
Yeah,
I don't know. We'll just have to wait and see.
That's all.
But we'll know, like Mike said, by the end of the day, whether or not we're ready to go.
I'm doing okay. We had a little snow last night, but it's slushy now. So yeah.
Somebody tell McGriff to get off the phone.
Yeah.
Marty is in the shower, Mike.
Oh, man.
Oh, my gosh.
Yeah, we don't, too much information. All right. Well, thank you all as usual for your participation and your wise counsel. We appreciate it very, very much. We have a meeting scheduled for 3:00 next Wednesday, correct?
Yes.
Is it
3:30?
3:30? 3:30. Okay. So I will see you all again via Zoom then. Until then, stay well and get vaccinated.
It's good to meet everybody.
Bobby, welcome. We look forward to
Thank you.
seeing you again.